Good evening, race fans, and welcome along to round number 5, despite what it says on the screen, of the AGT ACC Season 1. We are here for Circuit of the Americas. My name is John Wright, aka Double O Raven. My great pleasure and honour to be taking you through all the action, joined by none other than the man, the myth, the mighty moustache. It's Isaac Fogarty. Good morning, Isaac.
Good evening, John. Thanks for having me.
Good evening, exactly. Sorry, I'm in the morning, he's in the future. Still won't tell me the lottery results. So as I say, we're here for round number 5. It is Circuit of the Americas. After an absolutely scintillating start to the season at Spa, the German SuperSprint, we've had the Dutch SuperSprint along with Suzuka. It is now the Texas Speedway. Oh yes, circuit of the track limits. Expect a few of those penalties popping out this evening. It is round number 5. Still got plenty more racing to come this season. but it is all about the two 30-minute sprint races tonight. As I say, joining me, the man that's usually on the lead on the mic, he will be on co-comms this evening, bringing us all those beautiful facts and details and deep dives into the driver's analysis. It is Mr. Isaac himself. How are we doing, Isaac?
Yeah, good evening everybody. Thank you for having me in. It's a pleasure to be alongside you, as you mentioned, co-comms this week, but more than happy to be learning from one of the greats like yourself. So yeah, very excited. Obviously, as mentioned, round 5, we've had a really strong first half of the season, and we're at the Circuit of the Americas this week, the Circuit of the Track Limits, as you said. So very excited to see what our drivers can put together in the qualifying and throughout the race today. It's going to be really good to watch.
Indeed, yeah, and as we saw last time out, it was Simon Bishop once again. Isaac very much doing Simon Bishop things. When you talk about a drive of champions, Simon is absolutely on it this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Suzuka last time out here probably struggled a little bit more than he would have liked to. He finished 6th place in that race. Paul Leon was the man that took out the race last time out, and he's been on a charge. He won't feature this week, unfortunately. One of the drivers, I believe, caught up in the cyclone in southeast Queensland, and we wish them all well. But so he's not going to feature this week, but Simon Bishop, very much the man at large and in charge so far this season, and I'm sure with the absence of his closest rival this evening, he's going to be making plenty of moves to solidify his lead at the top of that championship standing.
Indeed he is. I'm having some other slight technical issues. We've lost the video, so we'll stick with this one at the minute. We are here for Circuit of the Track Limits, as you can see. Beautifully nestled in the Texas hills, if there is such a thing. A 3.4 mile track Isaac built back in 2012. Located in Austin, and quite a few corners and certainly plenty of elevation changes for the drivers to deal with today.
Yeah, it's a very technical, very challenging circuit. Obviously opened in 2012, and it's not changed since it opened in 2012. We've got 20 corners, 11 that go left. Americans love to go left. We've got 9 that go to the right. And then we've got 40 metres of elevation, or in American terms, 133 feet of elevation, and most of that you're going to find is on the run up towards turn 1. It's a very steep incline running uphill.
It is indeed. That turn is an absolute ungodly turn, number 1. Let's face it, it's one that you certainly love to watch. Not sure I'm a big fan of driving this course, but that's why I hide behind the microphone and judge those more talented than I. As Isaac said, over 20 corners the drivers will be navigating during the two 30-minute sprints. Let's bring us now what we are looking for, and we seem to have lost game screen. Bear with me a moment. Isaac, give us a quick look at the standings, please. Or yeah, give us a quick rundown of the driver standings we'll go for, because I'm going to fix this in the background.
Standings, I can do that. Absolutely. We'll have a look at the overall drivers' standings. But I'll have a look at the class standings first. Actually, that works for me. So, let me get it up so I can see it. So I'll have a look at our pro driver standings. So as I mentioned, Simon Bishop is running over this one. He's got a 73-point lead over his rival, Liam Tame at the moment, also his teammate. Both those drivers not going to feature this week, so this is a chance for some drivers to get some points back. Nick Carter only 109 points back in the standings from those two, so he could possibly get some points back this week as well. James Machin, the other TTR Westside driver, looking to claw some points back in that Pro Championship. Our Pro-Am standings, it's very close at the top between James Hammond and Dan Crawley. No James Hammond this week either, so a couple key players in our championship are sitting out. So Dan Crawley is in prime spot to take that Pro-Am Championship lead away from James Hammond, who's held it from all the season so far. Most of the season so far, I should say. Andrew Griffin as well, clawing his way back in the Pro-Am standings. He currently sits third, 132 points back on James Hammond. So a serious stand in what could look like maybe a three-way fight for that Pro-Am Championship coming our way this evening. And I believe we have the screen or the game coverage back, and we're looking at some on-track action.
We are indeed, finally. We have cars on tracks. It's the real reason everyone is here. I just want to reiterate what Isaac said as well. In all seriousness, genuinely hope everyone stays nice and safe. I know that there is some inclement weather, to say the least, in the land down under, and a heart goes out to everyone that's going through this just now. Really, genuinely, please stay safe, people. I know we're missing a couple of drivers this evening. We'll hopefully get them back as soon as possible, but of course, more than that, we'll absolutely hope that everyone does stay safe during what is going to be a very, 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 very difficult time down under. I've got a friend that stays in the Gold Coast, so I'm acutely aware of everything that's going on down there, and yeah, scary times, but hopefully the drivers and all their families, everyone managed to stay tucked up indoors. Simon Bishop, he's managed to stay tucked up right at the top of the lead. We've only got 2 minutes left of qualifying. It's a long lap here. The drivers aren't going to get many in qualifying, so it's going to be quality over quantity, and Bishop once again proving his quality. He's only got a 4/10 gap over the rest of the field, and to put that into perspective, if you go 4/10 back from second place, you've got 5 drivers. So it just goes to show you the type of pace that Bishop is showing up at the front. Top 7, second through to 7th, in fact 8th, only separated by a second. We've got 21 drivers, 22 on track, and 18 of them have got those lap times in, but very much the Bishop show. Once again, he is an absolute demon behind the wheel of that BMW, Isaac.
Yes, he is. He's certainly out there to prove a point tonight. Keep an eye out for Mazzinetti. He has not set a time yet. He's down in 20th place, yet to, yes, I would say track limits are playing a factor there. But he was fastest in practice, and he was 3/10 faster in practice than the time that Simon Bishop has done to sit atop this session currently. So I wouldn't rule him out just yet with just over a minute to go. He's coming to the line now, and he'll get another lap in with, just over a minute to go in this session. So here he goes. He goes to the top, and he's done a 2:06.5. So he's matched his practice time to put himself on provisional pole. The Pro-Am driver that we joked last week is not paying me enough to stay Pro-Am. He's going to have to go Pro very soon, because he is really taking it to these really fast guys at the front, and he's proved that point today. Matt Simmons has done the a very, very quick time. I thought for a second the identical time to Simon Bishop, but it's 2:27, and Simon Bishop is 2:77 back on Matt Danetti. So very close between those top 3, all within 0.3 of a second. And now we move to the top 7 within a second of each other. So it's getting very competitive at the front of this field with 15 seconds to go in this session.
As the drivers will be girdering their loins. They will be looking for as fast a time as possible. It's all changing up at the top. Bishop did have a 4/10 gap. He's now almost 3/10 down on Dernabe. That is an incredible time that Dernabe has popped in. There is the qualifying gong has run. Twinning and Boyd, no time set. They're going to start at the back of the grid. Might not be a bad idea. Did someone say dodgy turn 1? Monza turn 1 gets a bit of a hard time. For me, Suzuka and Kota are both much more difficult. That double apex at Suzuka were fun times, but certainly, I mean, you get a shot there through turn 19 of the elevation changes of this course, specifically designed for motor racing, they say. Took the best of all the corners from around the world, put them into one track, and yeah, certainly a whole lot of it stuck, and sometimes it's into the walls. We'll see how the tyres do as well. We've got quite a toasty 35-degree track temperature, so tyre management, even in the 30-minute race, could be a bit of a factor. If the drivers really do a whole lot of side-by-side action, they will absolutely burn through the rubber here. As we are on board with Bishop at the minute. We'll see what their name's doing. He's coming round at the last corner. This is his last qualifying lap, and he's pulled over at the last corner, so he has done no improvement there for Dernabe. Simmons and Bishop. Where is Bishop? He's got a couple of corners to
Bishop
go.
is 0.8 up.
Ooh, wow. Wow.
So he's about to come to the line now. He's coming through the final corner, and I've been watching him this lap. He's about 8.5 up now. He's just bordering on the 8 tenths. He's going to cross the line, and he goes fastest, and that is a ridiculous time. A ridiculous time, John. That is absolutely blindingly quick.
That is disturbing. Can we get Bishop tested for alien DNA, please, Stuart? Thank you. Yeah, 2:06.1, an absolutely ungodly time to be setting by Bishop. He's really put the rest of the field in the absolute shade there. As we can see, That is an incredible time by Bishop, but more incredibly, Isaac, and this is one of the things that really gets my juices going, and it really shows just how closely matched this field are. 3 different drivers taking purple sectors, and in fact it's matching in 5th in the Mustang, who's taken purple in sector 1. That's not too bad, and that really is a tantalising proposition for the race.
Absolutely, and Sector 1 is one of the most challenging on technical parts of this circuit, and the Mustang, which is famously not a fan of corners, he's done a great job to be the fastest car in Sector 1. We saw that last week as well, actually, at Suzuka. The Mustang was the fastest car in the most technically challenged part of the circuit, so he's done a really good job, and it shows, the competitive caliber of this field, and I, for one, am very excited. As long as these guys can all make it through turn 1 cleanly. They got a bit of a slap on the wrist in the driver's briefing this evening for, the constant, we want to make sure we all get through turn 1 and everyone has a good time. So hopefully we can get through turn 1 and we'll all have a good race. We'll all have a good time. So that's what I'm excited for. I'm excited for what's going to happen at turn 1.
It's going to be good. As I have a few famous phrases these days. I've been doing this long enough, and one of them is, you cannot win a race in turn 1, but you can absolutely lose one. It is that simple. Words to drive by. Bishop, he is driving the absolute wheels off that BMW though. He's ahead of the Aston Martin by almost half a second. An ungodly gap. That even puts more credence into how quick Dernebi is in Sector 3, because he's taken a purple in Sector 3, but he's half a second behind Bishop overall. So Dernebi is lightning quick in Sector 3, and Bishop is just lightning quick every place else. Simmons and Fleming find themselves on row number 2 with no purple sectors to their name. Machin and Neem on row 3, 5th and 6th. We've got Green and Lansdale 7th and 8th, with Carter and Crawley rounding out the top 10. Sheepers and Allen on row number 6, with XL and Burrows at 13th and 14th. The 24 kilograms slowing down the Porsche. Something chronic here at Kota, so uphill battle for Burrows and the team. Let's bring the timetables up again, as we've been unceremoniously there we go. And let me see, where were we? We were with Burrows and Sinclair. Nicholson on row 8 with Sinclair, and it's GT in 17th, Horvath in 18th position, Griffin and Takacs rounding out the top 20, and on row number 10 with Twinning and Boyd. No time set from those 2 drivers, and that might actually be a strategy all on its own, Isaac. As we were saying, turn number 1 here, we're going to talk about turn 1 a lot because it is an absolute nightmare, but yeah, Twinning and Boyd, no quality time set for those 2. Last 2 top 10 challenge for these 2 potentially.
Twining, I'm not sure what's happened there. Boyd actually is, he received a qualifying ban after an incident he was involved in the previous race. So he accrued enough penalty points to receive a qualifying ban. So he wasn't actually allowed to participate in this session, which might actually, as you said, serve him well. So not sure what happened with Twining there and why he's at the back, but I think if these guys play their cards right, they could find themselves in a very strong position following lap 1, especially if, Kota is notorious for having turn 1 incidents. So fingers crossed that everyone gets through and everything's fine, but these guys might have had the masterstroke starting on the back row. We've got about 3 minutes here before we get underway for racing. It's a long hold, so these guys have plenty of time to do their last-minute checks and preparations. A lot of fuel calculations going on for these guys at the moment. We've had a couple drivers throughout the season, especially in the super sprints, push the fuel to the limit and run out of fuel with not very long to go. So they'll all be, with the calculators, crunching the numbers, making sure that they can get that fuel amount just right. But I don't know about you, John. I am very excited by that front row. Matt Zanetti, yet this season to make it through turn 1 without facing backwards. And he's got Simon Bishop alongside him, and then Matt Simmons just in behind him. So this is the best opportunity Matt Zanetti's had to make it through turn 1 this season so far, but he's got some really fast guys, some really aggressive guys who aren't going to give him any sort of leeway into turn 1, I guess you could say. So I'm very excited by this matchup at the front of the grid.
Yeah, no quarter given nor asked by any of the competitors. And I do another one of my little famous phrases. It's always the car that's third or fourth in the train that is destined to do well when the drivers ahead try and dance and don't get their overtakes done. Fleming could be one to watch in the opening exchanges. It is a 30-minute sprint race, and as you just heard Isaac mention, everything is on the table here as far as strategy goes. The drivers, a couple of them running out of fuel so far this season. The type of thing, again, the drivers trying to get those finest of margins in any type of competitive edge they can. They'll look to cross the line with about a litre of fuel left if they can, so they really will be cutting it close. We do have 2 races this evening. We've got the 30-minute race that's about to kick off, then we'll have a 10-minute quali session, and we will have race number 2 straight after that. It'll be another run round the Kota as well, of course. So plenty of chances for the drivers and the teams to earn themselves some points around this very tricky course. We'll see if anyone takes the safe option. Ha ha ha, Mr. Commentator, you talk nonsense. But we'll see. It'll be full guns blazing for this one. Of course, we've got Zolder out next time. That will be a 1-hour race. Then it's Indianapolis, and then that 90-minute grand finale, which is at Imola. Oh, that is going to be quite the spicy end to the season. But as far as AGT goes, Isaac must be very, very happy with the way the season's gone so far. Some phenomenal driving talent on display, and it's great to see AGT up on the screens and the drivers really bringing home the bacon on track.
Absolutely, it's been an absolutely brilliant season so far, and as our first season, our first full season of GT3 running, we couldn't be happier with how everything's gone so far. These guys have done a great job. We've got some really fast guys, some really talented guys in here, and it's been great to see some of the GT7 guys as well moving across to have a go at ACC. Obviously, we run a GT7 sister league, and yeah, it's been amazing to see these guys come across and hone their skills. Matt Donetti is one of those guys, and I was saying last week I have a distinct memory of this man at our Bathurst 3-hour in December last year. The car was rolling down the hill at Skyline because he just missed his marker and clipped the inside wall, and he's come a long way since then, from rolling down the hill at Skyline to being on the front row at Coda. And if this is anything to go by, we're going to be in for an amazing finish of the season, and we've just started finalising the details for Season 2. I can't give anything away yet, but if Season 1 has been this good, Season 2 is going to be even better.
It is, yeah. Someone's just jumped to the pits. Someone has missed the start of the race and gone to the pits. Let us investigate one car at a time. It
is you.
Oh, it's me. Of course, because I'm in as a car. Yep, okay. My apologies. Some minor technical hiccups this morning. It was all very calmly handled by the commentary team. Said no one ever. But the drivers, they won't be so calm at the minute, as you can see. This is them on the warm-up lap, warming those brakes. Not that they're going to need much warming. Again, 35-degree track temperature, so we're certainly getting into that blistering range. If it gets too cold, we'll see the world-famous greying. We're now into blistering territory, and it is going to be an absolute monster on the right-hand tyres for the cars. It is a 30-minute sprint race. The drivers will be managing that fuel. And they will be keen to absolutely rip through the rubber on those tyres, that is for sure. So we could see some very, very, very quick overtaking underway. We've got, as I say, 22 cars out on track for this one. It is round number 5, it is race number 1, it is the 3.4 miles of the Circuit of the Americas, and the championship, as we heard from Isaac, we'll get a proper look at that. Between race 1 and 2, it is extremely close up at the top, with a couple of drivers unfortunately not able to make it this week due to the weather. It really is going to throw open the top end of the championship standings. But this one, as you mentioned, Isaac, it's an absolute murderer's row on those front 2 rows. Bishop, Dernier, Simmons and Fleming. Simmons and Bishop sandwiching Dernier there in that Aston Martin. And mention though, taking the fastest in Sector 1 If he gets a good launch in that Mustang, he really could make it interesting for the drivers ahead of him on the way into the first corner.
Absolutely, and Danetti and Machin had a little bit of a come together last week, and that was the result of Danetti facing backwards at turn 1. So those guys have a bit of history together, so we may see that come or rear its head again this week if Machin gets off to a good start. And as you mentioned, he's very strong in that first sector, so I would be very surprised if he doesn't threaten these top 4 early on. And another one right in behind as well is Cameron Neame. Don't count him out. He's very quick. He got a podium last week as well. He was in a wonderful battle with Simon Bishop right up until the end of the race, and it made for spectacular viewing. So don't count him out. You got Josh Green in behind, and then Tyler Lanzell, another extremely strong Pro-Am driver. So that top 10, maybe even the top 11, very, very strong, very fast drivers, and I wouldn't count any of them out for a top 5, even a podium finish today in both of these races, but especially this race. And the cars are starting to form up now, John, so I'll hand over to you to get this one underway, because we're not far away from going racing here for race 1.
Indeed, no, the drivers, you can hear the brakes furiously being jumped on as they squeal some heat into those discs and rotors to make sure that they can stop the car into turn number 1. 30 minutes of racing, just over 2 minutes a lap, and we are just over the start-finish line. We will be green any second. We'll stick with this camera for the moment. It's the finish line way back there, the start line way up here. Still optimum track conditions. We've got the sun not quite got his full hat on, a bit of cloud cover. The drivers will be maybe a bit grateful for that. And here we go then, green lights, foot down, flat out, and it is flying towards turn number 1. It's their name that's got a very good start on that outside line. It's going to be 3 wide into turn number 1, in fact almost 4 wide for the top 5 drivers, with Fleming and Machin both getting themselves well involved. Bishop getting an absolutely solid start though, as you would expect, and he has taken the field for a solid run with their name, looking to make moves down through 3 and 4, not quite able to get it to stick as we go through the twisty stuff. It is the timing tower just going to take a quick second to catch up, but it is Bishop leading for the moment. No, he's not. It's Simmons. Simmons has got the lead. Why? While I was watching Fleming and Bishop, it's Simmons who's popped himself up into the lead still. Sorry, yeah, 6 tenths ahead now of Fleming. Their Navy stays in spot, so does Machin. Neame in 6th position still. Lansdell and Simmons got Green in 8th, then Carter, Crawley, XL, Burrows holding on to 12th position with GT in 13th, Allen and 14th, Shapers with a good start as well, manages to hold on to 15th position, but he looks like he's coming under pressure. Yep, Shapers there, almost ended up the inside. Oh, and Allen's gone round. Allen tried to move back over there. He's taking contact on the rear from Shepard's Ferrari, and that is setting him spinning. Nicholson and Sinclair both sailing past the Horvath with Griffin holding on to their spot. Twining down at the back. Boyd's made up a position from the start. Up at the front it is Matt Simmons though. He has got himself a nice little lead at the moment, and they are scrapping over the scraps behind them. Bishop, Fleming and Dernive. Dernive now 4th position. So he's dropped down a couple of spots. Machin holding on to 5th. There's been some change over the top. That Mustang is looking ever quicker behind Dernive in the Aston Martin. There's a solid train of cars following him. Bishop still with that good gap up at the front. In fact, we can get a rear view mirror camera of that as well to see Dernive right in the thick of the action. Simmons with the lead in the mighty AMG. And look at Dernive, what an exit he's got. He's looking so much quicker than Fleming at the minute as they head round the last corner. They're going to exit the last corner. It's the Mustang going to gallop past. He's not. He's going to slightly lose the back of the car. It's going to leave Dernive to concentrate on Fleming. But Fleming absolutely not for getting involved in a battle here. He is taken off. He is safe at the start of lap number 2 into turn number 1. Not so much for Dernive as Neame gets a really good run through turn number 1, doesn't quite get the exit that he was looking for. Lansdell in the BMW comes flying down the hill. One of the few McLarens in the field. Excel, not so long ago it was all McLarens, they saw every place. They're now rarer than hen's teeth. Certainly in this game we've only got 2 of them. Excel doing well to hang on to that 11th position though. Crawley just ahead of him. So too Green pressing on Carter. Mustang on Mustang action there. We'll see how those two get on, but I'm interested still in the whole Neame thing. Still only a second and a half separating the top 4 drivers as Simmons unsurprisingly gets credit for the fastest lap of the race so far. They're at the halfway mark of lap number 2, and it is Simmons still leading the way. The fastest lap moniker has disappeared. Oh, there it is back again. Yep, Fleming still in third with the Neem in fourth. Neem in fifth place. Machin now in sixth position. So Machin has lost the spot to Neem while we were going through the lap there. So Machin has dropped down the spot. He's now in sixth position. Lansdale in seventh. Carter in eighth with Green and Crawley rounding out the top 10 now. Bit of a gap back to Burrows, the McLaren driver, doing well. Shapers that we saw gain a position earlier on the BMW go wayward. I believe that was Allen. He's rejoined. He's now back down in 21st position. Griffin's been involved in an incident as well. He has a battered and bruised Ferrari down there in 22nd place. Still plenty of time for him to catch up, and the drivers ahead certainly keeping themselves nice and bunched up, as we can see from the track map. 18th for Twining. Burrows looking close as well. Oh, he was looking close. XL's just had an excellent sector number 2, but a big gap there. Carter now, the driver under real pressure, but up at the front is Bishop. Oh, big send up the inside there by Green. That's a beautiful move. Green on Carter with Crawley in close attendance. They're going to go 4 wide. That's the Ferrari of Shepherds. No, it's not, sorry. That is the Porsche of Burrows that's getting involved. He's got a late run into turn number 1. He's really hunting down that McLaren. McLaren is certainly giving Green a run for his money. An incredible start, Isaac. Very nicely done through turn number 1. The drivers are really off and running, and multiple battles are ensuing throughout the field already, with Machin down 1-6.
Yeah, it's been a really good start actually. We've had very clean through turn 1, as you mentioned, and it's been great to see these guys getting underway and everyone having a really good time so far and keeping it clean. There's been some really exciting battles up and down the field. I really want to point out Matt Simmons. He's done the same thing 2 weeks in a row. Started not on pole and had the lead coming out of turn 1, and then led the way for most of the race. What brought him undone last week was his pit stop, when he slightly missed his pit box and Paul Candana-Leon was able to just jump him in that pit stop to take the lead of the race and eventually run away with the win. There's no pit stops today, so there's no pit stop for Matt Simmons to worry about, which means that provided he can keep Simon Bishop behind and make that Mercedes as wide as possible, he is going to hopefully get himself a race win. He hasn't had a race win so far this season, but in saying that, Simon Bishop now is the fastest lap of the race and he's right on the rear bumper of that number 8 Mercedes, and Cameron Fleming is floating in just behind as well, so he's ready to pounce. Danetti's right there, Neem's right there. These top 5 aren't too far away from each other, all within a second of the driver in front at the moment, and then James Machin, he's not too far off the back of them either. There's a really good battle going on through at the top 10 as well. Josh Green trying to find his way past Dan Crawley, but's not been able to make that happen yet. That's a really good battle that I'm going to keep a close eye on. That car, the 59 car, and the 31 car were going at it again last week as well for the Pro-Am class lead. Obviously no James Hammond this week, so Josh Green is jumping in that car to fill in for him this week. So obviously we have that. We explained last week we have reserve drivers that can jump in and fill spots for drivers that aren't able to make it, so teams can still score points. So the 59 car and the 31 car, very familiar with each other, and they're going to be even more familiar with each other this week. So that battle continues on, which is great to see. Looking further down the field, Sheepers and Porsche GT are going at it. Sheepers tries a little switch back into turn 1. There's a bit of side-to-side contact, and we have, if we can get a shot of it, we have Porsche GT's just gone off the circuit. Not sure where he is. He's just come back on. But there was side-to-side contact between the number 22 and the number 5 car, and that sent Porsche GT wide, and you can see he's flashing the lights, which means he's not very happy with that at all and feels he was hard done by, and Sheepers has got a drive-through penalty. I believe that's for track limits. So that won't be related to that side-to-side contact that was happened between Porsche GT and Sheepers, but he's the first one to get the drive-through for track limits here, and I'd say that it's the first, but it certainly won't be the last, as Riley Nicholson down in 22nd has come into the pit lane as well. So it's all happening here up and down the field. John, there's plenty of action, so I don't think hopefully everyone's getting comfortable and got some nice snacks to keep them company throughout the evening, because this is shaping up to be one hell of a race.
Indeed, yeah, everyone's going to be out with their absolute cheer. Yeah, Sheepers falling foul of the track limits within the first few laps. That is an absolute nightmare start to the race. It's still incredibly close up at the front. Carter and Lansdale, they've engaged in a quality little battle as well inside the top 10 still. Green all over the back of Crawley, but this battle for the podium, it's now Simmons, Bishop and Fleming. It looks like they have dispensed of their Neve in the background. Let's clumsily jump through and see on the rear spoiler cam. There we go. Yeah, there's what Fleming can see behind the Neve. Certainly not out of it, but that 1 second gap is going to increase with no slipstream advantage being given to the driver. We'll get back on the front. We can see Bishop's BMW going chasing Simmons into turn number 1. Bishop has taken the fastest lap of the race, but he wasn't able to hold on to the lead. Simmons with an absolute flyer. Oh, and there's two of them really violently on that inside curve at turn number 1. That is absolute heart and mouth material. Sheepers comes in to serve that drive-through. That is going to tumble him down the order. That's going to give Griffin someone to drive with down at the back of the field as we come through 8, 9 and 10. Look at the commitment from the drivers on those curves. Let's get a bit closer so we'll get some engine sounds as well. Only 0.2 of a second separating the top two. Fleming is the driver that we're going to keep an eye on though, because he is quite frankly in the best position of the two drivers ahead. Oh wow, extra steering put on the Mercedes. He's absolutely ragdolling that thing through the circuit of the Americas at the minute. Carter, Lansdale, Crawley and Green, four-way battle for 7th position. All inside the top 10. XL now 2.8 seconds down the road in the Mercedes. So the top 10 getting a good old breakaway, much like the top 3 here. Bishop and Simmons trying their best to shake off the advances of Fleming, but the two of them are far too close. Bishop, look how close he's getting. It's almost compromising his exit speed. Again, the Mercedes, oh no, this time he is nice and smooth on the way out of turn 17. Oh, he's run a bit deep there though by the look of it. Almost came a cropper, and that's brought Neve right back into it. Neve suddenly comes rushing back in. The slightest of mistakes, and believe it or not, that was a minor mistake there. Didn't quite get the power down as smoothly as he would have wanted, and that's brought Neve right back into the slipstream. So it's now the top 4 with a 1.8 second gap over Neve. He's got 1.2 back to Machin after that early overtake. As we can see, Lansdale, Crawley, Green, XL all pretty close. Sorry, XL 3.8 seconds down the road. Further down the field as well to Cax, who's on a great start. And he is absolutely loving it in that McDonald's livery. Terrible dad joke, I can only apologise. Sinclair and Griffin now 18th and 19th, and they're going at it. Griffin sends one up the inside. Oh, and there's a bit of contact. Oh, the Aston Martin goes into the wall. That Sinclair finds himself unceremoniously ejected from the course. Minor bit of contact there, and it's so easily done. These cars, they're like Bambi on ice. As soon as you lose grip, you lose grip, and there is no getting it back. Sheepers confirmation, he came back out of the pits. He is behind Boyd in 21st position, but he's still absolutely... Oh, that's a clumsy one there. He makes contact with the BMW. He does redress though and give the position back, and it does... Oh, it's almost looked like he's had a technical issue. His car is now just... Oh no, there we go, he's going again. He is up and running. We're going to have to keep an eye on this podium battle though, because Neve in 4th place has now taken the fastest lap, because the drivers ahead are slowing themselves up so much. I said it at the start, Isaac, it's often the driver that's in 3rd or 4th place in a train of cars that is the best position. They can make a more educated decision on where they're going to make their overtake. They can follow someone through, and just now Neve, he has got the bit between his teeth. He started on the front 2 rows, he's now in 4th place, but he is coming right back into the hunt. And Simmons, Bishop and Fleming, they're doing their cause not much good at all, because they really are just inviting Neve right back into this battle that we're seeing on screen now.
You can't see my face right now, but I am beaming from ear to ear, because this top 4 battle is going to go all the way to the end, and I'm super excited about that, because Donetti, he should have been in this last week and unfortunately got stung with that spin at turn 1, and he's showing this week that he's here and he's quick. He dropped off for a little bit, maybe that was strategic, not entirely sure, but these guys battling at the front has helped his cause. He now has the fastest lap of the race, as you mentioned, and he's right with these guys now. But it's one thing to catch, it's another thing to pass. So he's got a bit of work to do if he wants to make inroads into this overall podium here. And then Cameron Neame, is 4.5 seconds, or James Machin, I should say now, up into 5th ahead of Cameron Neame, is 4.5 seconds off the back of this battle pack at the front. So I am very interested to see how quickly he can catch, if these guys, these top 4 are in fact slowing each other down, or that they're quick enough to maintain that gap between 5th, because very soon, if that keeps going, we could have a 5 or 6-way battle for the podium places, which would be excellent to see. Just notice as well, Matt Boyd has got himself a drive-through penalty for track limits as well. So the second victim falls before we even reach the halfway point of this race. I'd be very interested to know how many drivers have a track limits penalty here. So I'll see if maybe we can figure that out. I don't think that gives us that data, but I'd be very interested to know how many drivers are pushing these track limits to the limit, or track limits as far as they can early here, because 3 warnings, it's 3 strikes and you're out. So you don't want to mess with the gods of ACC too many times here, because you'll find yourself getting a slap on the wrist quicker than you'd expect. I know I have plenty of times, especially around this circuit. So yeah, keeping a close eye on this battle pack here, just looking up and down the field for any other battle. Oh, Simon Bishop very late on the brakes, has to run wide, and he's going to concede a position there to Cameron Fleming. It's going to leave him vulnerable to Matt Donetti now, and Matt Donetti looking to the outside. Simon Bishop defends the inside line. Very smart driving from both these drivers. Matt Donetti looks for the switchback, but he won't have the run as they come down towards the final sector now. And wow, that was a very late move from Simon Bishop. Maybe just got his braking marker slightly wrong or locked up, but these cars have ABS, so typically you won't see these guys lock these cars up too much. Obviously you get all the perks of normal or real life GT3 racing, I should say, and those cars have ABS, which is one of my favorite things in the world, because I don't know about you, John, but I don't love a lockup. But it seems Simon Bishop, an uncharacteristic error from him there, and he's now fallen down the order, and Matt Donetti is smelling himself a podium at the moment.
Indeed, yeah, I think he absolutely is. Just fixing some audio in the background there. Hi to everyone in the chat, by the way. I don't have that open. I will get that open very shortly. I hope you're enjoying the racing action as much as we are. It's been all change up at the top of the field. Simmons leading, Fleming now up into 2nd place. Bishop in 3rd, Donetti, whose name I keep mispronouncing, still in that 4th place. And despite the battle that they're having, they're absolutely putting a hurt on the rest of the field. Machin is now 4 seconds down. Green on Crawley is a battle that's brewing as well. Wow. Through turns 8, 9 and 10, through the proper twisty stuff. Look how much more momentum the Mustang holds over that BMW through this section. Certainly Green getting the job done. So close. Oh, the BMW is going to invite him in. He's going to go round the outside. Is he going to make this one stick? They are going to be absolutely side by side. The Mustang creeps his way through. What a section, of course, to make that overtake stick. That is absolute otherworldly driving from both of them. And I tell you what, Lansdale could be the driver licking his lips here, because look at the view he's got of the drivers ahead. Let's see, there we go. Get a slightly better view. Oh, and the Mustangs made that one stick. That is absolute commitment from both drivers there. And the Mustang of Green is now up to 8th position after some incredible driving through one of the more difficult sections of the course, making it look absolutely easy, these two. And Lansdale is going to be enjoying the view that he is seeing. We've got a big change going on up at the front, actually. Bishop's now 1.6 seconds down on Simmons. Wow, Simmons is absolutely breaking away. He got the memo the drivers were behind were battling, and he is absolutely checking out. We've had over 15 minutes of racing so far. Time flies when the rubber is coming off the rims, that is for sure. Simmons now running away with it with a 1.6 second gap. Bishop in 2nd, Fleming in 3rd, Donetti in 4th place. Machin now 4 seconds down the road. So again, these top 4, they might be close, but they're absolutely breaking away from the rest of the field. And Donetti, I'm predicting pro before the end of the season, because he is absolutely keeping pace, no problem whatsoever, and in fact is the fastest driver out on track. And Bishop is really going to have to watch what he's doing here. Simmons completely running away with it, and Bishop really needs to get the head down as he looks to complete lap number 9. We've only got 12 minutes left. These 3 are very close. Let's see, Crawley and Lansdale still very close as well. Let's jump on and see how they're getting on. That Mustang though, Isaac, what an overtake that was by Green. Full credit to Green and Crawley there. Absolute precision driving from both of them. And Green in the Mustang really getting the job done very impressively, given the Mustang's characteristics and drawbacks here at the Circuit of the Americas.
Absolutely. I must admit, I only had one eye on that battle because I had one eye on what was happening in the top four, because Cameron Fleming got a compromise run out of that hairpin where we saw Green make the move up the inside on Dan Crawley, and that opened the door for Simon Bishop to look up the inside and take that second place back, which was a free kick for Matt Simmons because he just got to run away with it. So it's all happening up the front, which is excellent for us because we get a whole heap of action to unpack. But yeah, that move from Josh Green, he's done an absolutely mega job. He was saying earlier that he just couldn't get this car to rotate, especially in Sector 1. He was really struggling with front-end rotation in this car, and you wouldn't know it looking at that because he's made this car look like it is an Olympic gymnast the way he's moving through the corners at the moment. He's doing an absolutely stellar job. And then the teammates of Dan Crawley and Lanzell, who's filling in again this week for Team XV Primer, they are now looking to maybe have a little bit of a battle going on here. So there's going to be no team orders there. It's going to be a battle for position. And we see Fred Horvath and Porsche GT going at it for the 13th and 14th place at the moment. These guys very close. That Porsche, 24 kilos of ballast on board. That Porsche, which we run LFM, balance of power in this league, and we just do what the LFM gods tell us to do here, unfortunately, and it seems like a lot of weight, but that Porsche is very nimble in the corners, so the weight probably plays a big part in making that car a little bit more even through the corners than it would be for most other people. So he's doing a great job so far, looking to make a move on Porsche. He's got a nice run out of this penultimate corner into the final corner. Porsche GT is going to cover the inside line. Great driving from both these drivers. The 111 car is going to look to get a good exit off the final corner. If he can make a nice run here, he'll be able to size up and move into turn one. Porsche GT covering the inside line down the front straight, which means that if Horvath wants to make a move here, he's going to have to go the long way around. He's not deep enough on the brakes, and Porsche GT will hold that position. No, we're going to have a look at a switch back here, but Porsche GT's just done enough to hold on for now. This is a very exciting battle, and it's for P13 and 14, so they're fighting for sheep stations out here at the moment, which is great for us because we love seeing it. We love seeing it. Even though it's for sheep stations, we love seeing it.
I've never heard that expression before, but I will be using that one again. Confirmation, Simmons is still in the lead, but there has been a slight changing of the guard, as Bishop is getting right back into the hunt. He is taking the fastest lap as we reach and breach 20 minutes of racing done and dusted. There's only 9 minutes of this left. Yeah, we need to have a word with the AGT committee and extend these races to about 3 weeks. We've got Bishop now within half a second, and he has got the fastest lap, and they've now got a 1.6 second gap back to Fleming. Dernetti 1.1 second down. Machin has actually started to match their pace. He's managed to steady the ship and balance the gap at 4 seconds. Neem and Carter 6 and 7 still green in 8th place, but that might not be for long though, as Lansdale has caught up to the back of himself and Crawley, so solid battle going on just inside the top 10. And as we've seen, the Porsches doing not too bad. Burrows and Excel going at it. Porsche GT in the McLaren, and Horvath in the Porsche also going at it as well. And again, absolute precision driving from both of these drivers. The Porsche really trying to find a cutback opportunity. It is the more nimble of the cars, but as Isaac mentioned, that 24 kilograms of ballast will certainly nerf that ability somewhat. I need to remember to put my notifications off. Apologies, we had so much fun getting the stream started. 1/10 of a second separates the top two. It's BMW versus Mercedes here in America. And we have got 8 minutes left for these two to decide who is going to bring home the race win. Are we going to see Fleming pull a late charge as a 2-ahead battle? And I tell you, as I say that, he's now 1.5 seconds behind Bishop and Simmons. In no mood to share these top two podium spots with anyone else, with only 2:10 separating them onto the long straightaway. Bishop's going to get a good bit of slipstream, but that Mercedes in a straight line is not too shabby at all. And as we can see, he manages to maintain that distance despite an unbelievable exit by Bishop. Simmons keeps that gap, in fact extends it up to 0.4 of a second as they head into 17 through 21. This is where the Porsche is really strong. The front engine, the BMWs and Mercedes, nuts and nimble through this section, but they can certainly get the power down on the straightaway. Extra bit of steering input from Bishop just to keep the car going in the direction that he's looking for. You can hear those brakes absolutely squealing as he jumps on them to get the car stopped through the long triple apex. There's one, there's two. Here comes three, and out the exit we go, and Simmons absolutely on rails at the minute. Crawley still in a battle as well. Oh, and here we go.
Watching that, and he's...
Yep, talk us through it, Isaac.
He's watching that on board for this entire lap, and these guys have been inseparable since they got into the front straight. He's just run a little bit wide there, Dan Crawley, with a line compromised through that corner because he was stuck on the outside of Josh Green. But these guys have slowly reeled back in. These two BMWs have slowly reeled back in the 59 car of Josh Green, and they are getting ready to size up a move. This battle for the back three places in the top 10 is far from sorted. And yeah, that was, I just saw that coming just as you cut to it. It was perfect timing. Was that from the race, or the TV director, I should say, to cut to that just then, because that was exactly when he tried to pull the move. He didn't quite make it stick that time, got caught on the outside through that long sweeping right-hander. That triple apex corner makes it extremely tricky to sit around the outside. It's pretty much a one-line corner if you want to get through it quickly, and that sort of dropped him off the back now because he's using a lot of that tyre just to catch up to the back of the car, and then you get stuck in the dirty air. See, there's a lot with real-life racing as well. Trying so hard to catch up to the rear end of the car in front, and then you get stuck in their dirty air, you overheat the tyre, and then you have to back off to cool the tyre down again. Just to have a bit of pressure, and there we go. Drive through for Josh Green. So car 59 now has to serve a drive through for track limits. I just saw that come up on my screen, and he's going to be kicking himself because he was in the middle of this battle. He was in prime position to hold on to a very strong 8th place, and that drive-through is going to cost him, probably drop him down. It's definitely dropping him outside the top 10, but probably well down outside the top 10. I'd say potentially even past 13th and 14th place. We'll have a look at what the pit travel time is here, but I know it's a fairly long travel time through the pit lane here, and you lose a fair bit of your lap. I'll get the data up. But yeah, that's got to be an absolute kicker. And where is Circuit of the Americas? There it is. You lose 51% of your laps. So it's actually one of the better circuits in terms of pit time. It's a drive-through, you lose 29 seconds. So 29 seconds back would be about 16th place at this stage. Maybe about 14th, 15th place. But he'll be back down with those guys, the number 5, the number 11, and the number 76 car. So he's going to serve it straight away. So he's coming in the lane now. That's smart. Get it out of the way with 4 minutes to go. Give yourself a chance to come back if possibly can. Nails that stop into the lane. And the 31 and 98 car are going to continue on absolutely scot-free now and clear air to battle it out for the remainder of the race. This is going to be absolutely killer for Josh Green. I know he'll be kicking himself for that. As we look at Mazzanetti, who's trying to close back up to the rear end of Cameron Fleming at the moment, John, for that podium. So maybe a last-minute push to get himself onto the podium here for Mazzanetti.
I know, it's incredible to think that we are already this far into the race. For some reason I can hear myself. There we go. I'll switch that over so I can't. But yeah, Dernetti with 3.5 minutes left to go, so about a lap and a half left for the drivers to settle these podium positions. Those killer drive-throughs, 3 drivers picking them up in the opening 13-minute race. It's the 4th track limit that gets you that extra trip through the pits to give your engineers a wave on past. It's a wave that they definitely don't want, but yeah, 4 times you need to violate the track limits, and the drivers are really not respecting them in race number 1. We'll see if they get on in race number 2. Oh, but the lead's changed hands. The lead is in the middle of changing hands here as Bishop looking for a move on Simmons. He got an absolutely incredible run off the straight and through 17, 18 and 19. Oh, and the Mercedes has almost lost the back end. The BMW is going to surely open up for the cutback here. Oh, the Mercedes positions himself absolutely perfectly to defend into 19, 20 and 21 through the triple apex once again. Simmons hanging on for absolute dear life here. And these two, despite the battle, they're still finding time on the rest of the field. Fleming now 2.9 seconds down, but it is Bishop who is on an absolute move at the moment. These two absolutely wringing the neck out with the cars at the moment. And out with the last corner to finish lap number 13, it's Simmons and Bishop separated by 0.4 of a second with 2.5 minutes to go. So they're going to get this in one more lap. Happy days. And we've got another 30 minutes of racing between them still to come, so make sure you stay tuned, because this is not decided by any means necessary. How do they manage to keep control of the car when they're hitting the curves that hard? It is an absolute mystery to me. Again, that is why I commentate and why they drive, and why these two are absolute world level through the twisty stuff that go. Once again, Simmons is going to have to be a lot more attentive to that exit out with 17 and on to out with 9, sorry, and onto that big long straightaway. He's managing to do well through the twistier stuff for the moment, and still gaining time on Fleming. Ternetti is 1.3 seconds down, matching now though 6.4 seconds down the road. As I say, even in the 34-35 degree track temperature and a 30-minute race, the tyres will start to degrade the way the drivers are absolutely wringing the neck out of them. You can hear them, Bishops, absolutely squealing onto the straight. Simmons has got it done this time though. He's fended off, no heart and mouth moment for him as he hits the heavy braking zone here. But Bishop is looking for this race win, Isaac, and it's going to take a staunch performance from Simmons to fend them off in these closing 2 laps.
Absolutely, this is brilliant to watch from these two. And I was just thinking, these guys know each other extremely well. As you mentioned, they are very experienced drivers, both in their own right, both in real life and in virtual, very accomplished in the sim racing world. They're actually teammates in the AusNZ Enduro Championship that we do here for ACC in Australia. They were 2024 champions, so last year they won the whole thing together, and they're racing again this year in the #1 car. So these guys know each other very well. They're very good friends, and they even share a car, so they know how each other thinks, they know how each other drives. And Simon Bishop will be playing mind games. You can see him getting very close to the back end of Matt Simmons there, trying to psych him out. 10th place, AusXL has got a drive-through, so another car is now serving a drive-through penalty as well. So there, another victim falls, another one bites the dust, you could say, for the track limits around here. But we're starting the final lap now, John, and this is looking like it's going to go right down to the wire. Simon Bishop looks very strong in that final sector, so I can only imagine that he's going to be sizing up a move in that final complex of corners.
Yeah, I would say so. That looks to be his best opportunity so far. The middle lap, the Mercedes and Simmons did get a bit of a sluggish exit onto the straightaway, which let the BMW in, but every other lap he's been absolutely nailed on there. Bishop is going to look for it in the final sector, you would absolutely imagine. 4:10 separating them after 14 laps of racing. They've got a 1.7 second gap back to Fleming and Ternetti, who's 1.9 down as well. Lansdale and Crawley have continued their battle. XL with a drive-through, it's absolutely painful. That's like 4 or 5 drivers so far, and it's only a 30-minute race. That just goes to show you the level of commitment. Sheepers, who did serve a drive-through, has got himself back to 17th position. So he has done well to take back those spots. Boyd bringing up the rear of the field at the minute in 21st with the Cax in 20th. Sinclair inside the top 20 with Twinning in 18th position at the moment. He's a fair bit back. Shepard's just trying to close up on Griffin, but it is Bishop and Simmons that we are still watching. Who will take the lead, take the win here in round 5, race number 1. It's going to be a BMW or a Mercedes. I think it's safe to say. Which of the two, though, is anybody's guess. We're well over the halfway mark of the race. Bishop, he's got the fastest lap. He has got the scent of blood in the water. Is it coming from Simmons, though? Can he get his way past Simmons? We're through the triple apex. It is all or nothing now from Bishop. And they do have a back marker ahead of them as well, just to make it that extra bit spicy. They head towards the final corner though, and it's the Mercedes with an absolute ungodly run out of there and leaves Bishop absolutely standing. Back marker gets himself out of the way. They both run wide and they both go across the line and take the checkered flag, separated by 0.2 of a second. Congratulations, Simmons and Bishop. What a race for those two, with Fleming rounding out the podium. Ternetti will win in the Pro-Ams, 4th place overall. That's quite the showing for the Pro-Am driver. Promoted to pros. There, I can hear it in the crowd now. Matchin in 5th place, Neem in 6th position. They're all jumping back to the pits very quickly. Crawley in 8th, Lansdale in 9th. Excel with a drive-through to serve on the last lap. That's going to drop him to about 15th position. We've still got battles going on. Those Sheepers.
He's not going to serve it.
Oh, he's not going to set. Oh, just take the time penalty.
He's not going to serve it. He's going to take the time penalty. Yeah, I just noticed that. And Sheepers, as you said, trying to battle his way through past Andrew Griffin. The 2 Ferraris going at it. That was a very nice switchback move that Sheepers has pulled on Andrew Griffin there, and he just rolls out of the throttle and lets him go. This is great racing between these two coming through the back of the field. Just want to note as well, another driver who had to serve through a drive-through penalty, Josh Green. He's come home in 12th position, so damage limitation for him after being 8th pretty much all of that race. So he's done a great job to finish in 12th position there and still bag some very valuable points for himself and the team. But it looks like Sheepers is going to hold on to 15th place over Andrew Griffin here, and the number 22 car will cross the line. So that's great work from him after an early incident and also having to serve that drive-through for track limits. He's done a great job to bring that home in 15th place, and we've still got 2 more cars to finish, the 160 and the 55, which are both coming through the final corners now. But wow, that was absolutely incredible. And the great news is, John, we have to do it all again.
Yes, we do. Or the drivers certainly do. We just get to sit here and amaze at the pace. I did call it a circuit of the track limits in the opening. It won't let me switch between arms and silvers, fair enough. I did call it circuit of the track limits, and that was quite a few drive-throughs that we saw. There's XL in the chat. That sucks so bad top 10 finish was on, and then a drive-through on the last lap. Again, hello to everyone in the chat. Prevails. It is 00 Raven. I can only apologise. It's Baldy in the chat as well. We've got them absolutely kicking off. Who else? We've got Crazy Good Kung Fu, Ben Purton in the chat as well. So welcome in to everyone. That was only race number 1. We've got another quali session and another 30-minute race still to come. There is a 5-minute break. We will go over Porsche, the standings, some technical issues in the truck before we started. Perfect. We've got the sound sorted as well. So yeah, we're running slightly late, but we'll go over the standings in the break. We've got a bit of time between the 2 races, but there is confirmation of the results. It is Simmons who takes the top spot by a 1/10.5 of a second after 30 minutes of racing. The BMW of Bishop takes the fastest lap and takes 2nd spot. Fleming making it 2 Mercedes on the podium, finishing in 3rd. Dernetti brings home the win in the Pro-Ams ahead of Crawley in 2nd, 8th overall, and Lansdale directly behind them. Only half a second separated these two on the podium as well for the Pro-Ams. In the Arms, it's Porsche GT, Allen and Excel, despite that last drive-through there. Excel still hanging on to an AM podium, and that, you would say, Isaac, is a pretty good result considering picking up that drive-through right at the end. Still manages to hang on to that AM podium, and that could be a vital result going towards the last half of the season.
Absolutely, it's all about how many points you can get and hold on to, and yeah, scoring that AM podium, I should say, even with the 30-second penalty that he's had to serve at the end there, could have been the AM class win, but he'll definitely settle for an AM class podium when he's, you know, every point counts, as we said. So brilliant job to him, and we're just resetting now. So it goes dark because we go dark for 5 minutes, for a 5-minute break for these drivers to do what they need to do, because they all live in their sim rigs, and we like to give them a nice little break to get up and go for a walk and see what the real world looks like, just for 5 minutes, and then they have to come back to reality and do some more racing. So you'll see they've all got a little thing down there to tell them to turn the lights on because it's pitch black, but there'll be no cars on circuit for the next 5 minutes, which presents us a perfect opportunity, I think, John, to look at revisit our standings.
Indeed, yeah, we will bring up the standings. I will bring up my screen as well. As you can see, before today's race, it was Bishop who was leading the way. His team have got the top 3 spots with Tame and is that... Oh, Candinalian. Candonolian in third place with Nick Carter in fourth position. Hammond and Crawley. Hammond, of course, not able to race tonight because of the weather, but he's currently fifth in the overall standings. We're matching in 7th place. There's going to be some changes there as Neem and Fleming, before the start of today's race, found themselves 8th and 9th, with Simmons. That's a good result he's got there. He's 10th in the standings, only taking part in 2 of the rounds as well, so that's not too bad a showing. Big shout out as well to Candonolian, who is 3rd in the championship, but he's only taken part in 3 races so far, so quite the pace that he's got as well. Anthony Burrows just outside the top 10 as well. Isaac, I was about to call you Anthony there, meaning very close. Good to see some of the pro-ams involved in that as well. And as far as the team standings go, Isaac, it's pretty close there, but as you would expect, it is Bishop's team that are leading the way.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look at the team standings, so it's getting a bit of a runaway at the top with 260-point lead BCG3, and as you mentioned, that is Bishop's team. They are running away with this championship, and then you've got TTR Westside in second, and then BCG2 have actually jumped Fogarty Motorsport for 3rd place in the championship, and they now have just a slight 4-point lead over those guys in the championship. So they've made moves. They've missed a few rounds themselves, but they're moving back up the leaderboard. So BCG1 also finds himself now in the top 5 in the standings. Team XV and Victory Motorsport move into the top 10 in the team's championship. And a big shout out to Team XV Primer, who are doing a brilliant job, being well within contention of maybe taking that 5th spot in the team standings if they keep putting in the strong results they're putting in. So it's very exciting to see, as you can see, as from round 4, most of the teams that are at the top have been competing in most, if not all, rounds. So consistency in terms of racing is what's rewarded here for the team standings. But in saying that, we've had a few teams like BCG2 and even BCG1 that have missed rounds here and there, and they're still up there in the team standings and in the Drivers' Championship, which just goes to show just how fast those guys are and how quick they are week in, week out.
Yeah, it is some display from the team. Of course, in the individual standings, we do have pro-ams, and when I say pro-ams, I think there should be some promotions before the end of the season, given some of the laps that we have just seen. I think we can all agree on that, but certainly in the individual standings for Season 1, the pro drivers, it is Simon Bishop who is atop the field with quite a decent lead there, 50 points, almost 100 points in fact. Over Tame in second. Carter has got 3rd place. Candonolian in 4th, with Machin in 5th place. Wow, incredible. Burrows in 6th. Fleming has got himself in 7th, with Neem done his championship charge the absolute world of good with that performance. He was 8th before the start of today's races. I'd imagine we'll see him further up the standings. Stanovsky is in 9th place. Sheepers with a couple of unfortunate incidents in this race. He's 10th in the standings, but he is ahead of Matt Simmons. Again, another driver only taking part in 2 races, so plenty more points to come, and I would expect to see him rocket up the standings. Green just outside the top 10 as well. In the Pro-Ams, is Hammond leading the way. Again, not able to race today, so Crawley and Griffin will look to take advantage and get themselves ahead if they can. Sinclair has got himself in 4th place, with Lanadell in 6th, Rogers in 7th, and Dernetti 8th place at the moment. Again, that result there today is going to be an absolute cracker for his championship. And in the arms, it's Porsche GT leading the way in the McLaren. We've got Twinning in 2nd place, served a drive-through penalty in this round. Served a quali ban this round. Well, actually, yeah, Isaac. So will he be out qualified for this race, or is it just was it a one race quali ban, or a 1 round quali ban? Sorry.
1 race, so he'll be out. They should be out qualifying for this race.
Indeed, right. Okay, so we'll have everyone out in quali for this one. Boyd in 4th. with Gardner in 5th, Stewart in 6th position. But again, a few drivers not able to make it because of the weather. Hopefully, again, everyone is okay. There's a lot going on down under, but we are here for round number 5. It is the Texas Showdown. It was Suzuka last time out. Another track with the very fun turn number 1. I think the drivers will agree, and they've got Zolder next week. As if turn 1 there isn't bad enough, you've got turn 2 and 3 to deal with, and then the chicanes. So that is going to be an absolute, Belgian face-off. It really is, a Belgian beauty, that course. That is for absolutely sure. And of course, Indianapolis and Imola to round out the season. Apologies for the doubled up audio. I should have fixed that now, I do believe. As beautiful as Isaac's voice is, was a bit too much in full surround with an echo. We have managed to fix that, thankfully. But certainly, from a driver's perspective, Isaac, this course, I mean, we can talk for days just about how technical and twisty it is. It is an amalgamation of some of the finest race corners that have all been put together, built back in 2012, and it really does test man and metal to the absolute maximum lap after lap.
Absolutely. You spend, I reckon, most of this lap, probably close to 70% of this lap turning. The only really reprieves you get are that really long back straight and the front straight. And that's pretty much it. That back straight is 1.8 kilometers, 0.73 miles for any of the Northern Hemisphere friends playing at home. But yeah, it's a very technical circuit. You spend a lot of time turning. It's very demanding, and we saw in that first race that the track limits around here, they're not necessarily your friend. So if you get it slightly wrong, you get it slightly wide, then it's going to bite you. And it bit a few key players, I should say, in that first race. And qualifying here, I think we're going to see something similar of effect. We've got most cars on circuit, just missing Twining and Nicholson, who are still in the lane in this session so far. So neither of them have gone out to the track. But we have every other car on circuit at the moment, and we have James Machen leading the way at the moment onto the back straight. He is the first car in the queue to set a competitive lap time. Both TTR Westside cars were first out the lane to try and set a competitive lap, and hopefully they can get themselves further up towards the front. They had a great qualifying. James Machen qualified 5th for that first race, but just couldn't put it quite to the effect that he wanted to get himself up into fighting for that podium position. Just dropped off the back of Matt Zanetti and that top 4 at the start of that race, and just couldn't quite pull it back. That Mustang is great in a straight line, but as we've discussed, it's not necessarily friendly with the corners around here, John. It's a bit of a boat.
It really is. It really is. The one car that, of course, would be good through the corners is the mighty Porsche. Not so mighty in a straight line. When it comes to the twisty stuff, the Porsche can definitely get the job done, but because of the LFM bot, to keep the car in check, 24 kilograms of ballast for Herbie and the Beetle lovers. So yeah, the drivers in the Porsches really are going to be feeling the pain on the tyres as well. That's why we saw their pace drop off towards the end of the race. We are seeing some times coming in almost halfway through the quali session before we see times come in because of the length of lap. So the drivers, again, it's almost like a one-lap shootout for most of them because they're going to be absolutely wringing the neck out the tyres. 35-degree track temperature once again. So the drivers will be used to the conditions underfoot. Doesn't necessarily mean they will be enjoying them. Dernetti pops himself with an early 4th place, 2 minutes 7.4, with Carter 2 minute 7.7. Crawley not too far down the road either. Horvath with a time set with 3 seconds off the pace. Griffin and Porsche GT joining them with times, but here comes the top guns. Is Simmons. It goes 207.347, 2.5 tenths behind Machen up at the top. Dernetti constantly in the mix here, definitely getting promoted to pros before the end of the season. An incredible race he's having, or an incredible event he's having so far. in that Aston Martin. He is absolutely flying. He's already provisionally on the second row of the grid. Of course, we do have Bishop still to set a time. So let's unceremoniously jump on and see where Bishop is in the lap. He's just coming into 17. So he's got a fair bit to go. And yeah, there's going to be one saving grace for the drivers, but also a bit of a kick in the rear for them, Isaac. It is the same track conditions as the first race and quali session, so they'll be familiar with it. But 35 degrees, it really is. That's getting right on the edge where the tyres will heat up very, very, very quickly indeed. So they'll have to be absolutely on the limit pushing the car, but have to be as smooth as possible to try and make sure they maximise this short quali session that they've got.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crucial with the tyre phasing around here to get it absolutely right. And we've seen that time and time again in this session as we see, I believe this is Simon Bishop crossing the line. He should jump up here if he sets a time, and he does. He goes to, I can't see because he's so far up the top. He's jumped right up the top. He's jumped to first. There you go. He's jumped all the way to the top. But yeah, it is absolutely crucial to get the tyre phasing just right around here. And even if you get it slightly wrong, then yeah, it doesn't serve you well. We see Matt Simmons here 3/10 up already in the first sector, which just shows how important it is to nail the braking zone for that turn 1 and the run up the hill. He's doing a very good job using as much curb as he possibly can through that first sector, through the S's. Still 3/10 up as we come towards the end of sector 1. Throws the car through third gear at the corner, and then up towards the run down the hill to the back straight. So this is, I believe, coming through turn 10 now, down towards the turn 11, and he's pushing very hard. Still 3.5 up at the moment on his best time so far. He currently sits second and 6/10 off, so he's got a bit more time to find if he wants to unseat Simon Bishop from the top of the timings here. Absolutely flat stick down the back straight. 1.4 kilometers of circuit he has to run to get to the braking zone, the heavy braking zone of turn 12. Brake as late as you dare, throw the car in first gear, all the way back to first gear in this car, and then into this very, very technical, complex set of corners. Turn 13, double apex with turn 14, and then he has to switch back to get it just right as he turns into 15, which is another double apex corner. They love to throw the technical challenges at you here in terms of the turning and the corners here in Texas, and then the triple apex turn of 16, 17, and 18 as flat as you can through here. He's on third gear, riding fourth, shifts up, and then just down into third gear for the penultimate corner, and then all the way down, brake as late as you can to throw the car into the final corner. Right out wide on the curb, use as much inside curb as you can, and then right out wide across the line. He's about 4/10 up, and he does improve, but he's now down to third because Cameron Fleming has jumped him. So he's 3.5 seconds off of Simon, or 3.5 tenths, I should say, off Simon Bishop at the moment. But it's not enough to get him further up the field, and yeah, Cameron Fleming has jumped up the order now as well. I'm just looking up and down the grid at the moment to see if anyone else is improving, and it seems that Porsche GT is about to go faster by about 8/10. It doesn't jump him up any positions though. Cameron Neem is currently a 10th up on his best lap time at the moment, with 29 seconds to go in this session. He's just coming through sector 1 at the moment, and he's trying really hard to get himself up into that second row of the grid, maybe even the first row of the grid if he can. Just under a 10th up at the moment. Now back to about on par with his best. He's pushing that car to the absolute limit. These Mustangs do not like that first sector because it's a lot of fast flowing corners, and if there's one thing the Mustang doesn't like, it's rotating while the car is moving at speed. We have reached the end of the session now, John, so I'll hand over to you, but about 1.5 tenths or 1.5 tenths is what Cameron Neem is up at the moment, so he's trying to improve, but he's going to have to find a bit more time if he wants to jump up any positions.
He is, yeah, he's looking to be the lead Mustang at the moment. It's Machin that is ahead of him, Green that is behind him, Green with an almost identical time, so he'll be looking to get past Neem if he can. Bishop is in the pits, he's done a tool 6.0. disturbing. Fleming
That's
still
ridiculous.
out on track. It's just absolutely mind-blowing. 3.5 tenths, almost equilibrious gaps between Bishop and Fleming as there is between Fleming and Simmons. 3.5 tenths of a second, and 6 tenths back is Machen. I do expect Machen to close that gap in the closing stages. Crawley is in the pit, Twinning and Nicholson in the pits with no time set. No time set at all. Yeah, everyone remember, like and subscribe. Let's help support a growing league in your region. Absolutely incredible racing on offer. Make sure you get onto SimGrid as well and get signed up onto AGT. Get yourself into the Discord. An absolutely incredible league.
Matt Donetti is a second up. Sorry to interrupt,
no, go.
but Matt Donetti is a second up on his time. That puts him up into 4, so he's got himself up onto the second row of the grid. And I'm just looking to see if anyone else is going to improve. XL is going to improve. Josh Green was about half a second up and got impeded by one of the McLaren drivers. But I think that's it. Alan is a second up on his time at the moment. He's currently 17th, so he's going to improve his best time by about a second, which should jump him up the order possibly. It does jump him up to 13th, and he was the last one on track. So Matt Donetti coming in very late there to put himself on the second row of the grid.
Indeed, yeah, all happening at the end there, as you expect. Only a 10-minute qualifying session, and it's halfway through the session before the drivers get their first lap time set. So absolutely crucial that they get a good lap in quali, although qualifying is vanity. It's your race finishing position that is the sanity at the end of the day, and it is Bishop who is partially saying at the moment he has done something that no driver could do in the original qualifying session. He's taken 2 purple sectors, Sector 2 and Sector 3, but once again Machen in the mighty Mustang takes the quickest time in sector number 1. That is just an incredible display against this field and in that car. As Isaac's mentioned, the Mustang, not a big fan of large parts of this course, but I don't think Machen has been told that yet. Quite frankly, he's been made unaware of that, and he is still rocking that quickest sector 1. Donetti in 4th place ahead of him though. Another absolutely solid showing from our Pro-Am driver to get himself onto the front two rows in the overall starting grid. Green, I think, is still out on track at the minute. He's in 8th, but it is Crawley and Lansdale who are 2nd and 3rd in the Pro-Ams. They've got 10th and 11th respectively, with Shepherd's behind them. In the Ams though, it is Alan and XL. XL in the chat asking if we can temporarily turn off the track limits. No. Horvath.
No.
No. We've got a Porsche GT in 3rd place for the AM, so that is going to be another almighty battle between them. I think we do still have a couple of cars out on track at the minute. Let's just see if we can see who that is. Crawley. Oh no, they all seem to be. Yeah, we're all back.
I believe it's just a glitch in the game. Sometimes when cars return to the pits, it doesn't register them as returning to the pits and actually throws a yellow flag because it thinks they just stopped on track. Okay. But the cars are actually in the pit lane, so yeah. It is a glitch with the game. Can assure you that all cars were back in the pit lane. There was no one else left to set a lap. We weren't getting ahead of ourselves, so which was good. But yeah, just looking at those times. I'm just seeing a trend emerge with James Machen. Him and that first sector is just a love story between the two of them. He's absolutely rapid in that Mustang. I don't know what he's done, but I might have to go down and have a chat with him and maybe borrow his setup just to get a bit more rotation through that first sector, because he's done an absolutely stellar job. And yeah, Simon Bishop, what can we say? This man's an alien. We said last week at Suzuka that if he did a 159, we'd have to give him a drive-through. I think just for the lap time he's done today, we're going to have to give him a drive-through for this race, to be honest, because someone's got to slow him down. He's absolutely brilliant. I know Matt Simmons got the better of him in that first race, but if we know Simon Bishop, he's not going to let that happen again. In saying that, they're the two cars that are on the front row. Your top 4 from the last race in order, actually your top 5 from the last race in order are your top 5 from this qualifying session. So how about that?
Yeah, absolutely incredible stuff. Just shows the consistency that we've got and the level of competition There is the top 5 from the race, and as you can see from quali, they have matched themselves. It will be Bishop that leads the way into turn number 1. Will he lead out of turn number 1? He didn't in race number 1. He'll be looking to put that right with Simmons chasing him down. Fleming in 3rd place, and Dernetti, as I said, 4th overall, leading the way in the Pro-Ams. He's ahead of Machin, Carter, Neem and Green, 5th through 8th respectively. Then it's Burrows in 9th, who will be followed by the rest of the Pro-Ams. It's Crawley and Lansdale 10th and 11th. Sheepers will be looking for a better race this time out. He's going to start in 12th, sandwiched between the Pro-Ams and the Ams. The Ams, of course, led by Allen and Excel. Then it is Pro-Am Horvath, 15th position overall, 4th in the Pro-Am split. Then it's Porsche GT, 3rd in the Ams. 15th place over 16th overall, sorry. So an incredible showing there, because he's ahead of Griffin and Sinclair. We've got Boyd, who is 19th overall, 4th in the Arms, with Takax in 20th place, Twinning in 21st, and we've got Nicholson joining Twinning with no time set. So they will once again start from the back. We'll see how turn 1 goes this time around. And what do we think, Isaac? Do we think we're going to see more or less drive-throughs? Because drivers that got away with no drive-through in race number 1 could feel overly brave, but the drivers that did get a drive-through in race number 1, you would think they're going to be a bit sheepish, and that could hamper their mindset going into the race, because let's face it, this is last chance for Romance in this round to pick up points, and the last thing you want to be doing is picking up another drive-through in race number 2.
See, that's a tricky one. You've stumped me there, because I would think we'd see more. So my prediction is we're actually going to see more drive-throughs, because you can see more drivers pushing hard and more drivers that want to fight for position, because they all want points. Every single point is valuable in this race, because it's sprint points. So technically, for the sprint races, we halve the points that are on offer for an hour race. So to get the points you would get for finishing, say, first in a 1 hour race, you have to finish first in both races in the sprint races. So there's more at stake, I would think, in a sprint race. However, hopefully, most of these guys have learned their lesson. We saw in qualifying more drivers getting more laps in and less invalidated lap times. So I would hope that maybe actually these guys have started to figure it out and know where the limits of the track are. But anything can happen in half an hour. It's a long time. We saw the first drive-throughs happening with about 22 minutes left to go in the race. So only 8 minutes had passed when we got the first drive-through for track limits. So it's Coda. Anything can happen. I won't rule it out. But yeah, my prediction is I reckon we saw 4 drive-throughs in the last race. I reckon we'll see 5 at least for this race. That's my bold prediction.
There we go then. That is Isaac's prediction. Any predictions in the chat? Do we think more or less drive-throughs? Not throwing any shade at the driver's ability. There's absolutely no doubt in their ability. But there is a big doubt on their ability to keep it between the mayo and the mustard for 30 minutes around this unbelievably technical 3.4 miles of circuit. It was designed to absolutely test the drivers through absolutely every aspect of the race, and that is going to be the case again. Let me just fix the cameras and we'll get back to the live action, because we are now out on track for the warm-up lap. Even at 35 degrees, the drivers are still going to be jumping on those brakes, trying to get as much heat into them as possible for this turn here. The uphill apex downhill, that is turn number 1. We saw 4 wide between the race leaders. Let me just get this sorted here. On race number 1, let's see what happens in race number 2. Again, tyres at 35 degree track temperature. They're going to be getting put through the ringer even over those 30 minutes, especially with the movers and shakers that we're going to see on lap number 1. Takax just having a minor glitch with the connection. Should be okay though. It isn't teleporting on screen, which is good to see. Difficult one for Sheepers though to start this one out, Isaac. He's in 12th position. He has got a podium battle for Pro-Ams ahead of him. and he's got the lead for the arms behind him, and he is in the Ferrari, which is a good all-rounder, but certainly doesn't overly excel in a straight line like the BMW does. So Shapers, he really is going to have to be on point. Cone's lives matter, people. He's going to have to be on point for this opening lap here if he's going to catch back up to the rest of the pros and not get himself entrenched in 2 podium battles either side of him.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We saw he was our first victim of the track limits drive-through in the last race, so he'll be really hoping this race that doesn't happen again. I'm sure he'll be one of the drivers that are quite cautious in terms of track limits, which may actually hinder him with some very fast AM drivers right behind him, as you mentioned. So this is going to be an interesting race start for him. He's got himself up where he wants to be. He wants to be fighting for those top 10 places. But yeah, it's going to be a challenge for him off the start here. Not trying to make too many mistakes early on like he did in the last race and land himself with a drive-through. But also, you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable to those very, very fast guys behind who have also got a point to prove, because they too, for one reason or another, were down the order in the last race and want to score some valuable points for their team. And you can see there's the very angry pack of cars behind him just waiting to be released. So this is going to be a very interesting start for him. The other driver that I'm looking at is, or the drivers I should say, are Dan Crawley and Tyler Lanzell, who were pretty much inseparable throughout that entire race with Josh Green until Josh Green got that drive-through penalty for his track limits violation. They're just in front of Sheepers here, but these guys, Lanzell and Crawley, went all the way down to the wire in that race for the Pro-Am Honours. Or not Pro-Am Honours, I said for the Pro-Am podium. They finished second and third. I always forget about Matt Tinetti. I've just written him off in my head as a pro driver, given how quick that man is. But yeah, these two are going to look like they're going to service as normal. Services resume between these two at the front, trying to battle their way at the back end of the top 10 for a Pro-Am podium. So keep a close eye on those guys. They've got Burrows just in front, Sheepers just behind, as I mentioned. But yeah, some very quick guys up and down the field. Keep an eye on Andrew Griffin looking to come from the back here as well, as we are having a couple technical issues at the moment. But we're lining up now, getting ready to get underway for this race. The cars are gridding up at the moment, and we're not too far away from the green flag here. Simon Bishop and Matt Simmons on the front row is going to be something to behold. I'm
going to have to rejoin. My apologies, slight technical issue. The joys of PlayStation broadcasting. Right. We'll be back in as quick as we can. Isaac, give us an update on the action as it happens.
Absolutely. So we are getting ready to go to green. The drivers are coming towards the line, 2 abreast. We are not too far away from lights out. We're waiting for the order from race control. We are green. Green flags are showing, and we are away. It's a great start for Simon Bishop and Matt Simmons, who are inseparable at the start. James Machen looking up the inside of Cameron Fleming, but it looks like Matt Tinetti is around. So we got one good race. He got one good race last race, and he made it through, but he's gone around this time. He's been touched. I'm not sure who that was that spun him, but there's an absolute melee at turn 1. Multiple cars involved. Sheepers, Boyd, XL was in there. Griffin was in there. Danetti definitely in there, and that is so frustrating for the number 51 car after a brilliant race in the first race. And we talked about earlier how he just wasn't able to get that car through turn 1 facing the right way. He'll be very frustrated, and it looks like he's down the order now in 18th place, and he's got a bit of work to do with the Pro-Am guys in and around him. Nick Carter as well, not too far behind. He'll be looking to make some moves. Damage on the front of that Mustang is very extensive, so I'd say he was heavily caught up in that incident, and that was absolutely huge, that contact between those drivers. Matt Simmons leads the way, so he has got the jump on Simon Bishop yet again at the start. And it's a very familiar looking top 3. Cameron Neem trying to size up James Machen here as we come down towards the heavy braking zone of turn 13, I believe that is. Looks to the outside, but yeah, not close enough. What a race start there, John. And it's all kicking off, and such a shame for Matt Tinetti. But Dan Crawley up into 7th place in this one already.
Yeah, great start by Crawley. Apologies for the break in the live video feed there. We are back up and running though. As you heard, it was a big drop down the order for Danetti. He's now down in 17th position. Oh, as the BMW ends up running away there to Cax, is going to lose a position or 2. Boyd manages to jump up there. Danetti is ahead, so that will update in a moment. It is Simmons who is leading the way, with Bishop in second place, as you were from race number 1. Simmons getting the absolute jump on Bishop into turn number 1. Bishop already holding the fastest lap of the race. It really is synchronised stuff between the two of them at the top. And once again, just like race number 1, it's Fleming and Machin in third and fourth place. Neem and Green, the top 6 drivers all in the pros. Then it is Crawley, who has been promoted to the lead of the Pro-Ams. XL has got himself between first and second in the Pro-Ams as well. So great start by XL, avoiding the issue that we saw. Boyd and Porsche GT all both in the pits. Shapers in the pits as well.
Yeah,
so
I think these guys very frustrated. So I think these guys very frustrated. There'll be definitely damage on the car. They'll be coming in to pick up, and hopefully we'll see them back out there. But yeah, very frustrating for those guys to be caught up in that turn 1 incident. But hopefully they fix it up and they get moving again, because they're all well within contention of scoring some points today, and that's what we love to see. We'd love to see them scoring some points. Stand by, because I'm just going to go back. I'm going to have a quick look back at the replay to see if I can figure out what happened with these with the turn 1 incident. So if we just have a focus on the action for now, John, if you keep everyone distracted, I'll come to you soon as a pit lane reporter with what might have happened in that turn 1 accident.
Excellent, so there we go. Yep, we've got a full Ted's notebook on the way from Isaac very shortly. I see a Stone Harbour in the chat. Good evening, Stone Harbour. Your ears do not deceive you. It is I. How are you doing, big fella? We've got Bishop and Simmons absolutely flying at me. They've already got a 1.3 second lead over Fleming, who is currently fending off Machin and Neem, with Green still holding on to that 6th place. Crawley still leading the way in the Pro-Ams. XL leading the way in the arms, and Lansdale looking to get past XL and start hunting down Crawley once again. Dernetti has made back another couple of positions. He is carving his way through the field, quite unsurprisingly, given the pace he showed in race 1 and in both quali sessions compared to the cars just ahead of him. You do think he's going to make himself back a couple of spots here. Can he make it back onto the Pro-Am podium? Takacs and Griffin, the Ferrari and the BMW, are having themselves a cracking little battle here for 17th place overall. Takacs at the minute is third in the arm, so he won't be overly keen to do anything too crazy. He'll be looking to bring home this podium if he can. We'll jump back up to the front of the field though, where Bishop and Simmons. There is not much between these two at all, and Bishop is going to be getting himself some PTSD at this course. He's taken pole position in both races. He's lost the lead out of turn number 1 in both races, and he finds himself chasing Simmons once again. Wasn't able to unlock that overtake in race number 1. Can he get it done in race number 2? Some all-important championship points are up for grabs as they head down the long straightaway. The Mercedes got a good exit. The BMW though got a slightly better one. Isn't going to get close enough for a move. It's going to be very close in the braking zone. A whole lot of slipstream to contend with. It's all fine and well in the slipstream going faster, but that means you're going faster into the braking zone. You have to be so much better on the brakes and the steering, as we can see, trying his best not to climb into the back seat of the Mercedes as they head through 17, 18 and 19, coming into the triple apex. As Isaac mentioned earlier, they do love a double and a triple apex at this course, really putting the tyres and the drivers through their absolute paces every single corner that we go through. 2/10 separate the top two, 2 seconds separate the top two from the chasing pack. Ooh, he's really hit that curve, both of them right on the edge. The Mercedes must be able to just about taste that BMW badge underneath that rear spoiler out of the last corner to start lap number 3. It's Simmons in the lead, Bishop second, Fleming third, Machin in fourth place, Neem in fifth, with Green in 6th position. On, we've got a drive through.
Oh no!
Oh, we've almost got contact with the race leaders in turn number 1. They've managed to hold on to it. Bishop, wow! Standing ovation. How did he hold on to that? But let's quickly talk about XL. He did joke, he picked up a drive-through in race 1. That's only 3 laps in, Isaac. That's, I mean, we've got to start talking driver error at this point. To get 4 track limits, 3 laps into the race. We're only 7 minutes in. XL is going to be, what is the word I'm looking for? There's an Australian phrase I can't remember. Spitting feathers? Something along those lines. But certainly fudge these huggies, I think is one that I've heard. Oh, from down under in Lansdale, looking to get past him. He's going to get this done on track.
Give him a nudge.
Yeah, a bit of a nudge, but XL, that's an absolutely terrible start from him in the opening 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's not great. He was caught up in that turn 1 incident as well. I just had a look back at that. It started with I believe it was Nick Carter, the 711 car, making contact with Matt Donetti into turn 1, and there was just so many cars that got caught up in that. Burrows got caught up in that. XL got caught up in that. Sheepers, unfortunately, the number 22 car, just an unfortunate passenger in that with Porsche GT, and the 98 car, Lansdale got in there as well. With so many cars involved, it was just so unfortunate that that little incident and just one car spinning in that corner just creates a massive pile-up and a massive traffic jam, you could say, for those cars, as we see Simon Bishop all over the back of Matt Simmons now. We're looking from the rear bumper. He looks to the outside now to get a better line through the penultimate corner, and he looks like he's got it. He's going to have a look up the inside into the final corner now. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Matt Simmons gives him the room. A little bit of a touch-up on the exit. He's going to get a better run, which means that Matt Simmons now is possibly going to have a look into turn 1. Looking backwards from the number 2 BMW into turn 1, Matt Simmons has a little think about it, but thinks better of it, backs out of it. And these guys are going hammer and song at the moment to try and get this done. XL into the lane to serve his drive-through penalty this time. Won't cop the 30-second penalty you get for not serving it. But that was an absolutely beautiful move from Simon Bishop. You saw it coming, just set himself up with a slightly wider line through the penultimate corner to get that brilliant exit and the run down towards the final corner to then make the move stick. And Matt Simmons just afforded him the room there and tried to then set himself up to do the same thing and give himself the better run down towards turn 1, but just wasn't close enough. That's BMW very, very fast in a straight line, almost on par with the Mustang, I would say. And Lansdale now been promoted now that XL has dropped down the field. He's dropped down to 15th place, it looks like, and 16th place now, and that will absolutely be killer for him. He was all the way up inside the top 10, and now Tyler Lansdale looking to get past Josh Allen to then try and move on to catching up to Dan Crawley. But I'm just looking up and down the field. We've got a couple cars that are fairly close to each other, but the battle for the lead, and this battle here looks to be the closest that we have on track at the moment. There's Georgie Takacs in down towards the back of the field. But yeah, it's all happening at the moment. It's keeping us very entertained. And yeah, mate, I'm quite enjoying the action so far, and that was absolutely brilliant between two of the best guys in our series in Simon Bishop and Matt Simmons for that race lead battle.
Yeah, showing why these two are at the top of the timing towers and the standings week after week. When the race, they're generally on the podium, and it looks like they're in one another's pockets. Or where Bishop, he doesn't look like he wants to recommence that battle in any way, shape or form. He's now 1.3 seconds up the road. Update as well, I was having a quick run down the order. All the cars did come back out of the pits. Oh, and he's thinking about a cutback there. I tell you what, the BMW ahead there, Allen didn't look too confident on the brakes on the way into the penultimate corner. This is going to be an interesting turn number 1. That is a very good run by Lansdale towards the final corner, and that's going to be a very good exit as they chase one another up the hill. We'll jump onto the correct car, which of course would be Allen. There we go. Some rear spoiler camera into turn number 1. He's going for it full send into turn number 1 as he taking the spot there, and I tell you what, Allen hasn't put up too much defence there. Rather wisely, you would say, he is leading his way in the arms. Lansdale getting ahead of him has no effect on his overall championship standings. Certainly will do it in the teams, but you've got to pick your battles here, and he realises Lansdowne was that bit quicker in qualifying and is looking to chase down Crawley, and he does have the lead of the arms after XL picked himself up a drive-through. XL back out of the pit, 17th position. He has an absolute lifetime to make up to Allen, so he'll just be looking to bring home second place here. Very much damage limitation, and not too bad damage limitation if he can keep himself on the podium once again. Burrows is trying to close up on Sinclair. Allen still holding on to the slipstream of Lansdale. Fleming now making moves on the podium, and Simmons could have himself a similar proposition from race number 1, only it's going to be Fleming that's hunting him down, because Bishop is just a man unleashed. Since he's gotten himself ahead of Simmons, he's now got a 1.6 second gap back. That is some absolute expert driving, and it just goes to show you, Isaac, the level of defensive display that Simmons put in race number 1. Bishop could not get past him in race 1. Nails an absolute worldie of an overtake here in race number 2, and he is just gapping the field behind, and he's already got 1.6 seconds back to Simmons, and I think that is going to increase when we cross the line here.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, it goes to show that defense around here can play dividends, and Simon Bishop knew he had to get that move done early if he wanted any chance of running away with this race, because Matt Simmons, he doesn't lie down and take it. He's not one to let you go easily. So he was always going to make that hard, but Simon Bishop knew while the tyres were still good, while the life was still there, he had to get on a roll, he had to get the move done, and now he's on an absolute mission. Speaking of drivers who are on a mission, I should say, Matt Donetti, after that unfortunate incident at Turn 1, has found himself up in 10th place and is hunting down Allen and Lansdale in 9th and 8th place. So this man has moved himself up to 3rd in class for the Pro-Ams and is on a mission, and I reckon very well could be within a threat of possibly getting 2nd, maybe even 1st in class if he keeps up this pace that he's got at the moment, because he is absolutely flying with probably, I would say, some fairly heavy rear damage on that car from the hit that he copped at Turn 1 after the car spun. So he's doing a great job at the moment to come back, not only find himself in the top 10, but find himself in podium contention for Pro-Am. That's an absolutely excellent job. Mark Sinclair as well, I should give a shout out to, running 4th in class at the moment in the Pro-Ams and 12th overall, capitalising on that early incident to find himself up a few places. So it's all happening now, and there's a few mind games at stake, and a few mind games going on as well, I would say. Dan Crawley, 1.2 seconds off the back of Josh Green, but I wouldn't consider that as a battle is sorted, because these two found each other fairly often in the first race, and we saw Dan Crawley sort of just would drop off for a little bit, let his tyres cool, let the pressures come back to him. It's a 35-degree track at the moment, so the temperatures are fairly hot, so the tyre window and the optimal window for those tyres is fairly small compared to what it would have been in race 1. So he'll just sit back, let those tyres come to him, and as we reach the halfway point of the race, as we get to about 10 minutes to go, I'd say he'll start to push to try and make a move to get himself up into 6th place and put another car between himself and Matt Donetti. And another drive-through has been handed for Cameron Neem this time around, so the 5th place driver will find himself with a drive-through for track limits. So we talked about at the start of this race, John, drivers that were going to push even harder to try and get a better result out of this one. Cameron Neem seems to be one of those drivers, and he's been handed the drive-through from the Circuit of the American Gods for his efforts.
Indeed he has, yep. So far this race we've had 1 repeat offender and 1 new offender. The tally is at 2 with a halfway mark. So still plenty of time for the drivers to alleviate themselves of the track limits. XL did get the move done on Griffin just at the start of the lap. That's put him up to 15th place overall. Still in 2nd. Still, as I say, it's a huge uphill battle he's got to get himself back up to the top spot there. Allen running very well at the minute, but I think he is about to drop in overall position. Again, no shade on the driver. Dernetti, what a move. Absolute full commitment there on the Aston Martin. It takes 2 to tango, and that was a beautiful dance done by both drivers, but Dernetti finds himself back up to 9th position at the expense of Allen. Again, Allen, he's playing an absolute blinder here, Isaac. He is in the lead of the ARMS. There's faster cars coming up to him. He does not need to get involved in any battles here. He has the race lead in the ARMS. He is going to do everything he can to make it to the end, because he's got a big gap back. So these faster cars coming through, he is not putting up any form of defence at all, and that is exactly the strategy you need if you are in Allen's position at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. This is his first week in the AGT series is jumping in for Liam Tame, who's actually the flag man. So if you get for Race of Champions tonight, so if you find yourself looking for something else to watch a bit later, go and watch Race of Champions. And if you look closely, the man waving the flag as they cross the line, that is our very own Liam Tame. So he gets some very cool gigs. That man does through his connections in motorsport, and that's one of his cool gigs. So Jim Allen was very kind, or James Allen I should say, very kind enough to jump in for him tonight. His first time in AGT. He's doing a great job so far, up in the top 10 and just getting some solid points for that 76 car, which is what they need to solidify their run at the top of the field. Cameron Neame is in the lane now to serve his drive through. This is going to be absolutely killer for him. Just trying to look where he might pop out. And he's going to pop out well outside the top 10. And he's just coming out of the lane now, so he should jump out in front of XL, but just behind Horvath, maybe, depending on the run that he gets. Just trying to look where Horvath is, but I think, no, he's got out in front of Horvath, has Cameron Neame, so he'll find himself just outside the top 10 behind Mark Sinclair. So 13th place is where he will be for this one, and he'll be looking to fight back through. So Dan Crawley now moves up into 6th place overall and still leading the way. Matt Zanetti right on the back of Tyler Lansdale now. So this is for position in class. Matt Zanetti looking to make some moves to get himself back up. Obviously that spin early on in the race, and looking to make amends for that and get himself some solid in-class points. He's already on the class podium, but he won't be finished there. He knows he has the pace around here to push as hard as he can. Cameron Fleming as well, also very close to the back of Matt Simmons, just having a look at the splits there. So the battles are going on up and down the field at the moment. The Pro-Am podium and the Pro podium lighting up in terms of the battles at the moment, and it's great to watch. Matt Zanetti getting even closer. Oh, he stopped on track. Matt Zanetti has stopped on track. I think he has spun. That is facing the wrong way. So Matt Zanetti's facing the wrong way. So we've missed what's happened there. Whether there's contact, I can't quite tell. But he's facing the wrong way. We'll endeavour to find out. Ted Kravitz will get on that for you straight away. I like to refer to myself as Mark Larkham. I am one of the famous Aussie pit lane reporters for the Australian Supercars Championship. But having a look, John, at this battle between Cameron Fleming and Matt Simmons, it's kicking off. And hopefully it doesn't end with someone facing the wrong way like the battle with Lansdale and Danetti did.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah. If you have a look through the replay, have a quick nosy on the replay. We're going to get something special up for next week, hopefully. But yeah, if you get a quick look at the replay, see if you can see what happened to Danetti, we will see what is going on with Fleming and Simmons. Simmons, again, in the similar position to race number 1. He is in full defensive mode at the moment, and he is going to be forced to stay that way for quite some time now, as Machin is getting himself involved. Fastest driver in Sector 1 over both qualifying sessions, and he is handily closing in now on Simmons and Fleming. Bishop is absolutely done with any talk of a race lead battle. He's 7.2 seconds ahead of the rest of the field. That is an incredible
Yeah, and I can confirm.
Yes.
Sorry. I can confirm.
Go.
Matt Zanetti did that all on his own. He took way too much inside curb. If you just look here, we'll stay on board with Cameron Fleming if we can. If you have a look to the inside of this corner when he approaches the turn 13 here, there's a massive little curb just there, right? And they just touch it with the inside left front, and Matt Zanetti basically just drove straight over that, and at that point it just plays like a speed hump and just unsettles the aero of the car. The aero in these cars is so fickle, and if it's even slightly unsettled, the car just wants to turn and face the wrong way. So it's a completely unforced error from Matt Zanetti. Did that all by himself, and I know he'll be kicking himself over that. But that will be absolutely frustrating for him because he was doing such a good job. He's now down back in 13th place behind Cameron Neame, looking to fight back up the order. But yeah, that's what happened to Matt Zanetti. Just unfortunately, a small error there forced him to rotate the car in a way that he wouldn't have wanted to, and which is a nice way of saying that he spun and puts him back down the order. But he's doing a great job now to try and fight his way back up through the field, and hopefully he's got Mark Sinclair not too far in front of him, and that's for 3rd place still in class. So 3rd place in class is still a great job in terms of the Pro-Am Championship, which is what he'll be hoping to get himself back into the fight for as we are at the halfway point now of our season. With this, after this, we've got 3 rounds to go. So this is round 5, and as you mentioned before, we go to Zolder in 2 weeks' time for an hour race. And there's another drive-through. This is Porsche GT. So that brings our total up to 3, and that's another new driver. So Porsche GT pushing hard, trying to catch Matt Boyd. He's a lap down at the moment, his Porsche GT, so he's in and amongst lap traffic, not really getting out of the way. Does there for Cameron Neame, so good job getting out of the way there for Cameron Neame. But yeah, he's a lap down and has a drive-through to just add insult to injury there for Porsche GT. Very frustrating. It's currently... So where is he? No, he's going to say he's second in class, but he's not. I was looking at the wrong McLaren driver there. He's down the back in class, and that'll be a very frustrating race for him after taking out the class win in the first race.
Indeed, yeah, that is. Yep, he pushed too hard, and tracks will push back. That is for sure. Dernetti still closing in on Sinclair, though, looking to get back on the Pro-Am podium. Machin, Fleming and Simmons, the final 2 Pro podium positions, absolutely in contention with 7 minutes left to go, and Simmons absolutely hanging on for dear life. We know he can defend. We saw him hold off Bishop for the entirety of race 1, and just to tell you, show and prove what a good job that was, Bishop is now 7.5 seconds ahead of Simmons and the battling pack, so it just goes to show how much more pace he's got around here in that clean air, but Simmons managed to fend him off for pretty much the entirety of the race after taking the lead into turn number 1. He's going to have to do some serious defensive duties now, because he's got Machin and Fleming slipstream, who could come shooting past both of them if these two go side by side at an inopportune moment, as we've got another drive-through, and it is another new driver being added to the sin bin list, and it is Nicholson, Isaac. The drivers, it's very much one of the ethoses that are one of the potential outcomes. I did think it was mostly going to be new drivers, i.e. drivers that didn't get drive-throughs in race 1 that are picking them up in race number 2. So the majority of drivers have learned their lesson from race 1, but the ones that didn't pick them up getting a bit too brave, and that is Nicholson joining the list as Porsche GT comes in to serve his penalty. So we will...
It's very frustrating for these guys, I'm sure. There we go. I think I'm back. I had slight connection difficulties, but we're good to go. Yeah, Nicholson will be very frustrated. He's a very passionate guy. I drive with him in the AusNZ Endurance Series, and he's very hard on himself, but he's a very quick driver, and yeah, he'll be very frustrated about that. He got disconnected in race 1 this evening, wasn't able to reconnect properly, and had to miss out on the entire race, and now he's got to drive through to just be another kicker for him in this race. So he's serving that now. We'd like to point out, I predicted that we would have 5 drive-throughs or more in this race. We need 1 more, and my prediction will come true. So very close to predicting the future here I am, but we're looking at a very close battle between Fleming, Simmons, and then Machin ready to get himself involved in this. He's probably just having a nice little view of what's going on between these 2 Mercedes at the moment, but Fleming is starting to run out of patience. There's only 4 minutes left in this race. He doesn't want to lose a spot to a very hard charging James Machin, so he will be trying, Cameron Fleming, trying to push past Matt Simmons, who we know from history makes that Mercedes as wide as the racetrack. He doesn't make it easy for you to pass. And these guys, while they're driving the same car, they're not teammates, really. They both drive for BCG, but they're not teammates. So there'll be no team orders here from the BCG pit box to say, let this man pass. James Machin has a little bit of a fake to the inside, and doesn't quite make the move. He wasn't close enough that time around to make it stick. Cameron Neame as well is just got past Anthony Burrows, and Matt Donetti is riding behind him as well. So Matt Donetti looking to get his way up past Burrows and then chase after Cameron Neame for a top 10 result. So he's coming back now after that late spin, pushing through the field as much as he can. And yeah, they're all doing a great job at the moment. Everyone's keeping it mostly clean and respectful in this last half of the race. Not the same can be said in terms of clean for that turn 1, but you know, it's another one. There we go. OzXL has got himself a second drive-through of the race. So that is another drive-through, which means he has got 8 track limits violations in this race, and 12 overall for the event, because you get 3, and then on the 4th one they obviously give you a drive-through for your troubles. So that is 12 track limits violations he's got across the weekend, and that is now 5. I don't know whether we should count that or not. Let us know in the chat what you think. There we go. There's definitely all doubt has been removed as to whether we got 5 or not, because Boyd in 20th place has just got 1. So another drive-through going on for track limits. So it's all happening. I would love to know, with these front guys being as close as they are, how many track limits violations they've got. You wouldn't think too many, but you never know, because they could just randomly appear up. We thought that Nemo was going to be good, but he appeared with a track limits violation. That's why he now finds himself down in 10th place. Matt Donetti finding it a bit challenging to get past Anthony Burrows at the moment, but Don, I have to say, it's not short of action, these 2 races tonight. They're sprint races, and we bill them as being action-packed, and that they certainly are.
Yeah, absolutely. Start to finish, the drivers with track limits, the slight spins, overtake attempts left, right and centre, they're absolutely going for it. Machin, he can taste that podium ahead of him at the minute. We did temporarily see Bishop on screen. He's 9.6 seconds ahead. And that is one of the problems with the cameraman that we use. If there's a battle on, then the race leader's running away. We don't often see much of them, but Bishop, absolutely flawless so far. He's broken his fastest lap during the race not twice, as it has continued on. Is almost 10 seconds ahead with about a lap and a half to go. Fleming, Machin and Simmons still dueling it out for the final 2 podium positions. Crawley has got the lead in the Pro-Ams, with Lansdale in 2nd place. Dernetti has got himself back up to 3rd, and as we're seeing, trying to get his way past Burrows in the Pro Porsche, the Porsche with 24 kilograms of ballast and an Aston Martin breathing down its neck. You would think Dernetti should get this one done, or certainly has got the potential to get it done before the end of the race. Big shout out to Alan. He's in the arms, he's avoided several, making his debut tonight as a stand-in for Tame, and he's got himself into the top 10. He's picked his battles as wisely can be. 200 race IQ, I believe they call it, and he's got himself 8th place. His teammate that he's standing in for, I'm sure, will be absolutely delighted with the result he's bringing home. Speaking of delighted, will Machin be smiling ear to ear, or is Fleming going to fend him off? Simmons, with less than a minute left to go, has now got himself a 1 second gap back to his fellow Mercedes driver. Bishop has cleared the 10-second mark of a gap, and Dernetti is still wholeheartedly looking for an overtake on the Porsche. I tell you what, Burrows is doing an absolute wonder job to keep that Aston Martin behind him, considering he's in Porsche laden with 24 kilograms of ballast. There is Bishop. He is into turn number 1. This is going to be his last lap. He's going to bring home the race win after an incredible race 1. Saw him take the lead into turn number 1, lap 1, and lose it on the way out, and spend the entire race chasing the driver we can now see here, which is Simmons. He's holding on to 2nd place. It's now swung the way of Fleming. He's got to within 6 tenths. His Machin is now 1.3 down. Couldn't make the overtake stick. Neither could Dernetti at the moment. We've lost 1 car.
He's got it done.
Which is not bad. Who's got? Oh, has Dernetti got it done?
Got it done. He's brilliant move around the outside of the penultimate corner. You just missed it. It was an absolutely spectacular move, and he's got himself up now into 11th place, and he can set after Cameron Neame, but with only a lap to go, I don't think he's going to be able to get that done. So he's going to have to settle for 11th place overall, but 3rd in class. Still a great haul of points for Matt Donetti, a 1st and a 3rd in class for tonight's racing. He's done a brilliant job to launch his comeback in the Pro-Am Championship campaign, and this battle is not over. We're almost at the end of the race, but Cameron Fleming, James Machin's dropped off the back of these guys, but Cameron Fleming is not letting it go as we come down towards the heavy braking zone at turn 13 for the final time. He's using as much of the road as he can, is Matt Simmons, to defend from Cameron Fleming, and I'll hand this over to you, John, to bring it home, but this battle looks like it's going right down to the line.
It absolutely is, yeah. The final 2 podium positions in the Pro Round 5 race number 2. It's been the Texas Showdown shootout, call it what you want. It's been absolutely incredible through the triple right-hander as the race leader is comfortably making his way, obliviously unaware of what's going on behind him. He is going to round the last corner with a 12-second lead, and Bishop is going to take the Holy Trinity. He took pole, he's taking the fastest lap, and he's taken the race win. Fleming and Simmons are going to duel out. Simmons, it looks like, is going to manage to hang on and cross the line. He is going to by 0.2 of a second. Oh no, 0.6, sorry. So a bigger gap than race 1. Bishop, though, fastest lap and the race win in the BMW. Simmons in second, Fleming in third, Machin taking 4th place. So an improvement there. Green across the line to take 5th with Crawley in 6th. Lansdale in 7th place, but 2nd in the Pro-Ams. Crawley with the well-deserved win there, but Allen, I think I might throw him driver of the day, because that is an incredible performance for the AM driver. Takes the AM win and the top 10 position. Carter in 9th, Neem in 10th place, but it is Dernetti. What a comeback drive. Big spin halfway through the race. Manages to get back on to the Pro-Am podium, which is not too bad at all. And XL, 2 drive-throughs for good measure. After asking us to turn the track limits off, decided to show off a bit, get 2 drive-throughs, and still managed to almost get a curse of the commentator as the McLaren completely lets go on the way out with turn 17 there. But XL, 2 drive-throughs, will still take a podium, and Twinning as well. Great drive there. Porsche GT, Boyd on Nicholson, all picking up drive-throughs in this one. Twinning, though, will pick up a podium. But I think safe to say, Isaac, great drives by Bishop, Simmons and Fleming. But Allen in that BMW, the AM driver finishing in the overall top 10 and bringing home the AM win. That is a decent result, to say the least.
Absolutely, he'll be incredibly happy with that. Very happy indeed with that 8th place. I would like to also give a shout out to Josh Green. He got a drive-through in that first race. He was running really well in 8th place up until that point, and then had to, unfortunately, serve a drive-through for pushing the track limits a little bit too far, but he's held on. He's kept it clean this race. He's one of those drivers that I'd say was a little bit more conservative with their track limits this time around, and he held on to a 5th place overall, which is a great result for him. His best result of the season. He was saying earlier in the week, he just, no matter what he does since his started racing in AGT, he just hasn't been able to get a good result and keep a clean race, but he's certainly done that today, and he's brought home 5th place. So good result from Green, a great result from Allen, and a great comeback drive from both Cameron Neem after he served that drive through, and Matt Donetti for not 1 but 2 spins, 1 on lap 1 and then 1 an unforced error halfway through the race, and he's done a great job to drive back to 11th place. But some really great stories up and down the lane, but also a few tales of woe as well. But a brilliant night of action all round.
Absolutely incredible. That's why you need to go over to the SimGrid host page for AGT, get yourself signed up, get into the Discord and get involved in the racing. Still spaces on track, and of course returning drivers as well. Again, hopefully everyone affected by the weather down in Australia makes it out all safe and sound. We'll get everyone back out on track next week. But that was race number 2 from round number 5. Bishop bringing home the bacon in the BMW. Simmons and Fleming with 2 Mercedes on the Pro podium. And again, Crawley, Lansdale and Dernetti on the Pro-Am podium. In the AMs, it was Allen, XL and Twinning. That was the circuit of the Americas. It was an absolute showdown in Texas. But next time out in 2 weeks, Isaac, we have, of course, got the face-off in Belgium. Zolder for a 1 hour race. That, to say the least, is going to be a bit interesting.
Absolutely, I'm very much looking forward to that. Zolder is one of my favourite circuits, not just on this game, but just in racing in general. So I'm very excited to see what it'll bring as we do the 1 hour of Zolder. We kicked off the AGT ACC story at Zolder, so we're returning to our roots for this one to yeah, to have a bit of fun. It's an hour long. It's a very, very challenging circuit. It doesn't look very complicated on the surface, but trust me, the curbs will bite if you just hit them in slightly the wrong way. And the track limits there are also a lot of fun to deal with as well. So it's going to be a challenge for our drivers across the course of the hour. But I can tell you now, I'm very much looking forward to it. I can't wait. I'll be itching to go by the time we get to the 21st of March, and then we go to the Indy Super Sprint. We are announcing now, I may as well announce it on the broadcast, we're actually moving, that says the 28th of March, we're moving it to the 29th of March to fit in with another racing league, the AusNZ League, that will do qualifying on Friday night. A lot of our drivers cross over into that league, so we would actually only have about 10 cars on the grid if we ran on the Friday night. So Friday night we'll be qualifying for AusNZ, and then Saturday night we'll go racing. It's the only Saturday night we'll do for the season. That only got confirmed earlier this afternoon, so we're announcing that to all the drivers and stuff this evening, but we thought we'd announce that on the broadcast as well. So Saturday, the 29th of March, we'll go racing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and then the finale at Imola on the 11th of April. That is the week before Easter. It's the final race of the season. We've got a 90-minute race. The first time we've done that this season. It's going to be a long race. It's going to be a very challenging circuit. Again, track limits can get you around there, so hopefully drivers will have a lot of practice and start to try and, as they like to say, lock in for getting laps around there on rails. But that's going to be an excellent piece of racing as well. I'm very excited, John, for what's to come in the remaining 3 rounds of this season, because not only have we got some very exciting tracks, but the championship story for all 3 classes is far from over.
Indeed, yeah, those results tonight with the drive-throughs and the standings, it's going to be all changed, and this is all 3 championships are going to go right down to the wire. Well, 5 championships. We've got the pros, the pro-ams, the ams, we've got the teams, and we've got the overall drivers standings. Nothing has been decided, and as Isaac said, that 90-minute finale at Imola is going to be quite the spectacle, so do make sure you get tuned in for the rest of the season. I cannot wait for the next race in 2 weeks' time, but here we go. That was Season 1, Round number 5 of the AGT ACC Season 1 for the GT3s. Been an absolutely incredible outing. Some technical issues, but we motored on, and the drivers most certainly did as well, making their way through 20 turns and the track limits, keeping them on their toes. As Isaac said, the standings all change, and nothing is decided by an absolute long stretch. So make sure you get yourself tuned in for the rest of the season. Thank you very much to everyone that has tuned in this evening. We've seen lots of people in the chat. Absolutely love to see it. Make sure you hit like and subscribe as well. Get yourself back here for the remainder of the season. It will be myself and Isaac that will be taking you through all of the action. That's right, we get front row seats to the greatness, and we very much hope you will join us. But that is all for this evening. I'm going to go and instantly watch that race back. I hope you all do as well. But until next time, it is a good night from Isaac.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in.
And it is a good night from me. Stay safe, take it easy, and have a great rest of your night. Good night.
Trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight.